I think the theme for us as a studio is we want to have an environment that everyone can flourish in. And we talk a lot, and a lot of companies who care about their culture talk about turning up as your whole self. And I've learned actually a lot of the things we've done have over the time have actually restricted people coming up as their whole selves. And I personally would like to learn as someone who has helped inform the environment. And I think I've realized negatively in many ways over the years, as well as positively, how we can do that in a more nuanced way and really try and create a culture where people can actually be themselves and be real. Because the fact is, people can't for lots of reasons. I mean, look, at its worst, I think we come from the consultancy/agency background. For a lot of reasons, a lot of these companies are owned and run at the senior levels by men, and that's some of the things we're trying to undo with pledged parental leave. And I think it's very easy without thinking about to have like an exclusionary culture. Like at its worst, you can have a very bro-ish, high-fivey, foosball kind of environment where everyone's drinking. And that probably looks like a lot of fun to a lot of people, but actually it excludes a lot of people who don't want to engage in that kind of way. And I think we're trying to understand that in a far better way. And we're undoing some of the things we didn't think about as like dumb skinny jean teenagers in East London, and we're trying to build a more inclusive environment. We're just, part of that is just the self-awareness we need to develop, even as a senior person in a company, how your behavior will make people feel comfortable or invited or part of that community. It's tough because it's societal. It's not something that a company can solve. But what I've come to reflect on as a company, in many ways, if you're an owner or an influence on it, you want it to be a reflection of the society you want to live in. You want to have that environment where people of all types can flourish and be successful and enjoy each other's journey. So that's one thing, and then realizing that you're falling short, and that's quite a painful thing. I think, as to what I just spoke to about the events in Dallas and before that week, just like it might be clumsy and awkward, but just say, hey, this is a thing, and if people want to talk about it, which is something we did in New York, then we're going to meet. Whoever's interested, we're going to meet in this space, and we can talk about it and understand each other better. Because I know, several people in our studio would be hurting, and somehow to not even acknowledge it, talk about it, would create a huge sense of isolation. So it's scary, clumsy, white guy talking about race, and there's shame attached to that, and white male privilege you're trying to wrestle with. But the worst possible thing to do is avoid it. And I think if you create an environment of trust, that people have the right intention and learn to respect each other in the language you use, or even if people say the wrong thing, just you're trying to make progress on it. The worst possible thing I think I've learned is just completely ignoring it, because it just isolates people that you care about, but they're part of your community. So inaction is the worst thing, even if it feels awkward and clumsy. I've learned to think about how we post our job ads. All that nonsense, we never posted, but all that nonsense about we need a ninja or a rock star designer, and the language you use to even try and attract people is important. We're also conscious of, as we're learning, that the men will apply for a role with 3 of the 10 qualifications, women will apply only with 7. And we need to speak to that and say, look, almost call that out, write it in the ad, say, look, if you think you can write this, we'd love to hear from you. So we're trying to be a bit meta about the whole process. Interview process is important to us, so we make sure we have both genders represented in each round of the interviews. So we're trying to minimize unconscious bias. People usually like to recruit and engage with people similar to them, and by mixing the interview process, we can do that. So there's lots of things we're trying to do. We're trying to understand better in order to create ultimately inclusive and diverse environment. But we're nowhere near where we want to be, both in terms of the setup of the company, and we haven't got it right yet, but we want to.